So a Combat Evolved remaster, again, might be in the works with 343 and Microsoft behind the wheel. And this information has come from the reputable game journalist Tom Warren, who was also a senior editor at The Verge. So today I wanted to provide my thoughts on this topic, and address of course whether or not I think it's a good or bad idea, alongside going over some of the things that I've seen the community talk about too. So with all that out of the way, let's jump straight in. First things first, everything that I've seen about this indicates that it is going to be a remaster akin to Combat Evolved Anniversary, which seems like an incredibly bizarre decision, especially because we can just play that on Master Chief Collection. A remaster would indicate that it is basically just going to be the same game but upscaled and able to run on newer generations of hardware, though this could possibly track as it is supposedly also going to release on PS5 or future PlayStation consoles. This could mean that Microsoft are planning on just doing a remaster of the original Combat Evolved, where it would have the same menu and all that sort of stuff, but potentially be released as an individual game that would likely release on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation, and potentially be cross-play between those platforms. A full remaster of Combat Evolved doesn't sound like a terrible idea if it does keep the original menu and the overall feel of Combat Evolved. However, it does very much feel like a been there, done that sort of moment. My personal preference, and what I hope it actually is a full remake of the game, rebuilt from the ground up like we've seen recently with the Resident Evil franchise or Dead Space. If it is a full remake that keeps the same story but maybe expands upon certain elements with the knowledge of future titles, not only do I think that could be a great introduction point for new fans, but would also be a nice way to revisit this beloved title for current fans too. It could maybe give us some more perspective on things that other characters are doing at the time of the game. Maybe even throwing in some of the other tie-in stuff like how Fireteam Raven takes place at the same time, the arcade game. Maybe we could see or hear about the characters from that title in a remade version of Combat Evolved. And I think there is a ton of potential with this idea. Having a CE remake that has playable elites and expanded story, cut content from the original games, and potentially entirely new stuff made too, that seems like something that the entire fan base could get behind. Whereas a remaster, I believe, would be a real head scratcher. Though I suppose I could understand Microsoft's reasoning if it was supposed to just be a remaster, as they could get that out much quicker, get it in the hands of PlayStation fans, and make a quick buck. And they know most Halo fans would snap that up anyway because we all feel like we're starved for content. And they know all the current Halo fans would snap that up anyway, down to pure nostalgia if anything. I have seen some concerns that if it was a remake that would also be a reboot, and I don't think that would really apply at all. You can remake a game without rebooting it. We've seen this with things like Pokemon, again with Resident Evil, and I've also seen some fans online get very confused about why they would do this with Combat Evolved again as opposed to something like Halo 2 or 3. Now, in my personal opinion, and this might be a hot take, but I do believe those games have held up better than Combat Evolved, and I think Combat Evolved Anniversary itself was also an extreme letdown, which I know that second point isn't anywhere near as much of a hot take. So having a proper remaster or remake of the original title, again, as I've already mentioned, would be a great introductionary point for new fans, and also a cool way to relive the experience for pre-existing fans. Now, whatever it is, I don't expect to hear anything about it from official sources anytime soon. That is, of course, if it's even real. But I am very curious to hear what the approach to it actually is going to be. I've also seen indication that this is planned to be built in Unreal Engine 5, which if that's the case, it would be much more plausible for it to, of course, be a remake as opposed to a remaster, as I wouldn't see the need to have a remaster of the game in Unreal Engine. And again, I feel like if this is Microsoft's plan to move Halo to PlayStation to try and bring in a ton of new fans, then having an entire remake would probably be the better way to do it, as opposed to just re-releasing a 20-year-old game, but in upscaled resolution. Obviously, this is then going to spark an entire debate on whether or not Halo should go to PlayStation. If it lets more people experience Halo, I'm honestly not opposed to it anymore. I used to be when I was younger, when I actually cared about the console wars. But I mean, it's 2024, Xbox is barely the same Xbox that it was back in the 360 era, and I really don't think the console wars themselves even matter that much. And since most Xbox titles are already multi-platform, with all of them pretty much being on PC now, and we've already started to see titles like Sea of Thieves go over to PlayStation, Halo eventually going fully multi-plat does feel like a step in the right direction. Especially if they truly want to revitalize the IP, I think at this point that makes more sense than anything. because you would be giving Halo to a ton of new players. I don't know if whatever this Mystery Combat Evolved project is will carry the same magic that the original had, and it's definitely not going to leave the same impact on people that that first game had either. But whatever it is, I will be cautiously excited for it either way. And with that being said, I'm of course curious what you all have to say. Would you prefer Halo 3 Anniversary? Would you prefer a Combat Evolved remake as opposed to a remaster? I mean, a remake is what I really hope it is. Especially again because I've really enjoyed the Resident Evil remakes thus far, and having Combat Evolved get the same treatment would be so nice. But let me know what you all think down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.